Nearly 135 years ago, Scottish football joined their English counterparts in setting up a National Football League. This consisted of 11 teams which competed, well, most of them did, to become the first champions of Scotland. A season that involved a team getting kicked out, a playoff for the title that ended in a draw, and teams dealing with re-elections to stay in the league. Let's just say times have changed a bit. In this video, I'll be looking at the 11 teams that started the 1890-91 season and asking the question, where are they now? 11th, Renton, folded. Finishing bottom of the league after being expelled and having their record expunged due to their heinous act of paying players, something I'm sure which never caught on. Renton had beaten Celtic in their opening game, drew with St Mirren in game 2, but then lost their next 3 games. It was at this point they got suspended by the SFA and therefore the SPFL for professionalism, something that was against the rules at the time and wouldn't be allowed until 1893. Renton would return to the league for the following season before resigning from the league 4 games into the 1897-98 season due to financial difficulties. They returned to the local amateur leagues, as with Renton being a small village in West Dumbartonshire, they couldn't get the crowds to survive in the new professional era. The club would continue to play in the Scottish Cup, but in 1922 the club unfortunately folded. Renton were unofficial world champions in 1888 as they won the Scottish Cup, setting up a game against West Brom, that year's FA Cup winners, which they would go on to win. Sam of Footy Adventures has an excellent video that goes in depth on this story, and it's something I'll link in the description and put a card in the top corner of the screen if I can work out how it works. 10th, Cowlairs, folded. The club that officially finished bottom of the league, Cowlairs finished with a measly 6 points from 18 games, with a record of 3 wins and 4 draws. Before you say, that points tally doesn't add up, let me explain. Back then, it was only 2 points for a win. 3 points came into effect in 1994 for Scotland, and secondly, they also got a 4-point deduction for ineligible players. Something not isolated to Cowlairs, as we'll see later on. Cowlairs would be voted out of the league at the end of the season, being replaced with non-league side Leith Athletic. At the time, the club was also facing accusations of paying players, which made being voted out unsurprising. However, the following season, they would go on their best ever Scottish Cup run, making it to the quarter-finals before losing to fellow Glasgow side Celtic. They would return to the Football League in 1893 when the new second division was introduced, and despite finishing second in their first season, were denied promotion as third-place club Clyde got voted in instead. Financial problems at the club would worsen, however, and in the 1895-96 season they would finish bottom, be voted out of the league again, and would soon dissolve. 9th, Vale of Leven, West of Scotland, 3rd Division. The first club did not have any shenanigans involved in their season. Vale of Leven are technically labelled as tied 8th, but using modern methods they are 9th on this list as they had a worse goal difference. Vale of Leven were historic powerhouses in the early days of Scottish football, with 3 Scottish Cup titles whilst finishing runners-up a further 4 times, including the 1890 Cup final. This cup success evidently didn't follow into the league season. With only 5 wins and a draw, they finished on 11 points. In fact, without Cowlairs' point deduction, it would have been them finishing bottom of the league. As the bottom 3 clubs would all face re-election, unlike Cowlairs, Vale of Leven would stay in the league for the following season. This season would not see improvement. In fact, Vale finished with 5 points, all coming from draws, a feat that wouldn't be matched until Brechin finished the 2017-18 season with no wins. The club decided to withdraw from the league rather than face re-election. They probably knew they would not be allowed back in. And until 1902, they only played in the Scottish Cup and other friendlies. In 1905, they returned to the league, taking part in the second division, where despite 2 runner-up finishes, they would not make it back to the top division. In 1924, the club would be relegated, this time to the new third division, before the division got scrapped due to multiple clubs having such dire financial issues that they couldn't complete the full season. Vale would follow in 1929, as they would fall as the Great Depression hit Scotland, before reforming in 1939 to join the Scottish Junior Football Association, in association with regional leagues for non-league sides. As of 2024, the club currently compete in the West of Scotland 3rd Division, the 9th tier of Scottish football, an evolution of the old West Region Juniors that is now part of the Scottish Pyramid, which came together in 2020. 8th, St Mirren, Premiership. Our first current SPFL club, St Mirren, finished above Vale of Leven on goal difference with an identical record. As they finished in the bottom 3, they had to face re-election, and just like Vale, they stayed in the league and have since continued to be consistent members of the top flight. Whilst they haven't won the top flight, they have won 3 Scottish Cups, and their most recent success is their sole League Cup win in the 2012-13 season, beating Hearts in the final. They have won the 2nd Division 5 times, however, most recently in the 2017-18 season, and in 2005 they won the Challenge Cup, beating Hamilton Academical. In 1894, the club would move into Love Street, which is where they would stay until 2009, moving across the road into the brand new St Mirren Stadium. As of 2024, St Mirren are aiming to finish in the top 6 for a 2nd consecutive season. Last season, they got that 6th place finish, and it was the first time they finished in the top 6 since the 1984-85 season. Maybe this time they can get some European football in Paisley. 7th, Abercorn, folded. Back to the folded clubs, we have Abercorn, who finished 1 place and 1 point higher than their Paisley rivals. Abercorn finished above St Mirren and Vale thanks to having an extra draw over their rivals, helping them avoid the re-election zone, as I'll be renaming it to. In 1893, however, they were dropped down into the 2nd Division, but after winning the title in 1896, they returned. They would finish bottom and go straight back down. They would win the 2nd Division again in 1909 and finish runner-up in 1912, but both times did not get enough votes to return to the top flight. They dropped out of the league in 1915 as professional football was postponed during World War I. However, they would never return, with the club's lease not being renewed at their ground, leading to their disbandment. 6th, Heart of Midlothian, Premiership. Back to the Premiership, and this time we're heading to the capital with Hearts. They finished with 6 wins and 2 draws, enough to earn 14 points and therefore 6th position. Unlike fellow Premiership companions St Mirren, Hearts have been Scottish champions, winning the top division on 4 occasions, although the most recent title was in the 1959-60 season. They have come close, but events in Dundee stopped them. Their first titles came not long after the foundation of the league, with back-to-back title wins in 1895 and 1896, but their 3rd title wouldn't come until the 1957-58 season. They have been more successful in cup competitions, however, with 8 Scottish Cup wins, including a famous 5-1 demolition of local rivals Hibs, in their most recent success in 2012. They also have 4 Scottish League Cup victories, although their most recent victory was back in the 1962-63 season. And as of 2024, Hearts are aiming to finish 3rd again, after losing out to Aberdeen last season and securing that vital European group stage football and the money that comes with it. 5th, 3rd Lanarkshire Rifle Volunteers, folded. 3rd Lanarkshire Rifle Volunteers, later shortened to 3rd Lanark, were one of the oldest clubs in Scotland, having been founded in 1872. The club played their games out of the now famously abandoned Cafkin Park, which you can still visit as it has been incorporated into a local park. In the inaugural season of the Scottish Football League, the club finished 5th on 15 points with 8 wins and 3 draws. As you might remember with Cowlairs, those numbers don't add up, and that's because, again, they fielded ineligible players. Unlike Cowlairs though, this made no difference to where they would have finished, as even with the additional 4 points, they would remain in 5th, although they would be 1 point behind the team in 4th. The Thirds would be a moderately successful club, winning the league in the 1903-04 season, along with 2 Scottish Cup victories and League Cup runners-up spot. The club, however, would be horribly mismanaged during the 50s and 60s, however, and this led to the club's eventual demise in 1967. 4th, Cambuslang, folded. This is just getting depressing now, isn't it? Thankfully, this is the last of the folded clubs, but in fourth we have Cambuslang. Cambuslang finished with 8 wins and 4 draws, seeing them earn 20 points for the season, only one behind third place. This was as good as it would get for Cambuslang, as they would finish last the next season and would fail to get re-elected. When the second division was brought in, they decided against joining, and at the end of the 1896-97 season, they would dissolve. This Cambuslang side has nothing to do with current Western Scotland League side Cambuslang Rangers, who were formed through mergers of other clubs based in the area. Cambuslang's only real success is a Scottish Cup final appearance, but that's something that isn't replicated by the team that finished third in this inaugural season. Third, Celtic, Premiership. Do I really need to tell you about Celtic? I mean, they've only won 53 league titles, 41 Scottish Cups, 21 League Cups, a European Cup, runner-up finishes in UEFA Cup and Intercontinental Cup. I probably should just focus on the season, shouldn't I? Celtic finished third in the inaugural league season with a record of 11 wins and 3 draws, giving them 21 points. They are the last of the clubs that I'm going to be mentioning who got given that 4-point deduction for playing ineligible players. Just like third Lanark, this did not affect their final position in the table, and they would still have been 4 points off the top 2. Celtic would have to wait until 1892-93 to get their first of 53 league titles, but our top 2 have a strange story when it comes to their first titles. Second, Rangers, Premiership. Whilst Rangers have 55 titles, their first was one that was awarded in a strange manner. As they finished level on points with a team in first that we'll come on to later, they had to face them in a championship deciding playoff. This game ended in a draw, however, and it was decided that the title will be shared instead. With 54 more league titles to come, along with 34 Scottish Cups, 28 League Cups, a Challenge Cup, second, third and fourth tier titles, a European Cup Winners' Cup, and twice UEFA Cup runners-up, they've not done too bad for themselves, apart from that era. But that's not what this video is about. If we were using modern sorting method, then they would be on 54 titles, as they have obviously been placed as second in this list, as the team that did finish first would have won on goal difference. That team being first, Dumbarton, League 2. Yep, that's right. Little old Dumbarton were the first, albeit shared, champions of Scotland. This proved to be no fluke, as they would go on to win the league again the following season. This would be their final major honour, however. Winners of the Scottish Cup in 1883, their last final would be in 1897, and they've not appeared in the top division since the 1984-85 season. Since then, they have just bounced around the lower leagues, and finished second in League 2 last season. This season, however, they are in the playoff fight, sitting a fairly comfortable third spot, not challenging for the title like they were 134 years ago, but still sitting nicely in the playoff spot. Despite not having won the top flight since 1892, they still have more titles than established top flight clubs such as Dundee, Kilmarnock or Motherwell. Not bad for the Suns. That's it for this video then, a bit longer than the previous two, but still, here it is. I might have a look back at the first season when the Premiership split from the SFL in a similar way to when the same thing happened down south. I was thinking maybe the Scottish Cup as well, but that would just be depressing, seeing all the clubs that have folded. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the stereotypical YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.